أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. The topic that I'm speaking about today is a topic which is relevant to all of us. And that's because it's the topic of essentially balancing dunya and akhira, or dunya and deen. But I don't even really like using it in that way or even describing it in that way, because to say that we're balancing dunya and akhira is as if we're saying that we're going to spend some time on dunya and some time on akhira. That it's like, you know, we'll spend some of our time working for dunya and some of our time working for akhira. And I'd like to ask you to actually think about it in a different way. I'd like you to think about it as a destination and a vehicle. So for example, you guys are in St. Louis right now. Suppose that you want to get to Chicago. So your destination is Chicago. But how are you going to get there? You're going to take a car, say. So your vehicle is the car, but your destination is Chicago. This is how I want you to see dunya and akhirah. Dunya is your goal. Dunya is your destination. Everything you do should be about akhirah is your destination. Y'all are like, what? She lost her mind. Alhamdulillah. Akhira is your destination. And akhira is what you work for. And the way to get there is with dunya. So the way we use dunya is for just one reason, and that is to get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get us in a better place in akhira. So when you answer this question of how do I be in dunya, how do I be in dunya and at the same time think about my akhirah? You use dunya to get to your akhirah. So how do you do that? Well, you have a lot of roles, right? So you have the role as a student. A lot of people in this room are students. At some point, you're going to have the role, or some already do, have the role of spouse. You have the role of a brother, sister, daughter. In every single one of these roles, you can use that to get you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the purpose of why you and I were created, there's only one purpose why we were created. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that I have not created jinn and human beings except for one reason, except for one single purpose. And that is the purpose of fulfilling ubudiyyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the purpose of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that tell you? That tells you that every single thing that you do in this life can be an act of ibadah, can be an act of worship. But you have to have the right focus. And I want to share with you guys a hadith, because this hadith, subhanAllah, it's one of my favorite hadith, and it talks about these two different focuses. So you know how some people, everything they do, they're thinking about dunya. So their thoughts are, okay, I want to get my degree, and then after I get my degree, I want to make money, and then after I make money, I want to have the biggest house, and then after that, I want to have the nicest car, and I want to have the nicest clothes, and I want to be the prettiest, or I want to be all of these types of goals are dunya goals, and that's where it ends. And the Prophet ﷺ told us the difference between those who make their ultimate purpose or their primary concern this life versus those who make their primary concern the next life. And they're not the same. So I'm going to tell you this hadith, and then I'm going to inshallah explain it, because it's very, very deep, and you're going to find this actually if you really experience this in your life. The Prophet ﷺ said that the one who makes akhirah, the hereafter, his primary concern, so that's what he's most concerned about, or she's most concerned about, a few things happen. First, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes him free of want. So what this means is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put contentment in that person's heart. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of that person and internally they will be sufficed. Second, he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will gather his affairs. So you know how sometimes you go through life and you're trying to do a million things at once, right? You have all of these responsibilities. You have all of these different directions. You feel like you're kind of pulled in different directions. And this feeling of being scattered, it's the opposite. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that when you make your focus dunya, when you make your focus akhirah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gathers your affairs. So things will work out for you, and things will actually become easier for you. Whatever you're doing in dunya becomes easier. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates it because you've made akhirah your primary concern.